Hello everyone, I am Himali Nalawade and I welcome you all to the 13th episode of the Bharat Talks podcast. The entire nation took pride in Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's legacy when 12 of his forts were recognized by UNESCO as World Heritage Sites. Our today's guests, we have an entire team today with us, guided by Professor Shubhashri Upasni. She heads the Center of Indian Traditional Knowledge and Cultural Studies at Bharati Vidyapeeth College of Architecture. She will now quickly introduce us to this entire team who has played a very integral part in this entire process. What is this integral part and what is this team? Let us get to know from her.
Hello everyone, myself Professor Shubhashri Upasni. I am leading the CITKCS, that is Center for Indian Traditional Knowledge and Cultural Studies at Bharati Vidyapeeth College of Architecture, Pune. So basically CITKC is the brainchild of our principal, Madam Professor Dr. Kavita Murukkar, who is following the path of our Honorable Founder Chancellor Dr. Patangrao Kadam Sahib. So through this center, we encourage our students to participate in national level competitions for heritage documentation. We conduct international conferences, symposiums, workshops. We conduct different heritage walk and we call different experts and guests so that our students will get to know more about our rich cultural heritage. So our participation in 12 forts of Maratha Military Landscape was threefold activity, in which we participated in awareness campaign, then we make the presentations and our students visited different institutes to create the awareness about World Heritage Site nomination, 12 forts. Then also we worked extensively on Shivneri Fort documentation and so many other activities. So I would like to introduce my team. Along with me here is Bharat, who was leading the Shivneri documentation work. Then we have Shivam Jagtap, who was actively participated in the Shivneri work, and we have Supreet Nakhre, who participated in the first two parts of our participation, that was community engagement, awareness campaign and presentations made to different colleges and institutes.
So I did come to know one thing, that this entire team had campaigned to spread awareness regarding this entire issue in collaboration with Deccan College before or during this process. So Supreet, will you please tell us that what this collaboration was and what was this entire campaigning thing?
Yeah, sure. So I would like to elaborate about the ground process we had gone through for this Maratha military forts. So basically during the Ganesh Visarjan, I was present, and with the collaboration of Deccan College of Archaeology, I had done a signature campaign with my colleague Avishka. And after that, our college, the students of first year, second year, third year, fourth year and fifth year, we together had done the signature campaign on the hills of Pune as well. So again, after some events, again with the collaboration of Deccan College of Archaeology, we had done the presentations with two students of Deccan College of Archaeology to the different colleges of architecture in Pune. Basically, we had done the presentations on the forts which were nominated for the UNESCO World Heritage Site.
So before we begin with Shivneri Fort particularly, please explain to us that how are World Heritage Sites nominated according to the categories of ICOMOS and UNESCO?
Sure. So basically ICOMOS is International Council for Monuments and Sites, which is the international organization which works for World Heritage Site nomination, designation, the maintenance of this list and everything related to World Heritage Sites. World Heritage Sites are nothing but the areas and heritage cultural precincts or tangible and intangible cultural heritage aspects which are important for the humanities. So all these designated sites and areas are considered to be important and significant for the whole humanities, for the whole human evolution. So in this process, if our site is getting nominated, that is considered as the biggest pride. And it's not only about the pride, but it evolves and it encourages tourism, it encourages employment generation, and of course it supports authentic conservation of that particular site. Hence, when our 12 forts Maratha military landscape get added into World Heritage Site, so we all were celebrating that pride. ICOMOS, as I said, that is international organization where more than 200 countries are part of this organization, they are the members, and the whole process of World Heritage Site nomination is conducted by the committee, that is World Heritage Committee, WHC. Those members visit the sites. The preparation of that dossier is quite energy consuming and tedious process, which involves n number of completing and fulfilling the criteria, then supporting the documents to prove the authenticity of that cultural heritage, and proving the community engagement, because it is just not sufficient ki it is very culturally significant, heritage significant, but community is not involved, so we need to prove that as well. Hence, community engagement and awareness campaign was carrying importance in this whole process. So, this process we participated under the guidance of Dr. Suhas Divse, Pune District Collector, and Dr. Vilas Vahane sir, who is Assistant Director at Directorate of Archaeology and Museums. Also, architect Archana Deshmukh, Dr. Shikha Jain ma'am from Drona, Delhi, who was working on the World Heritage Site nomination dossier. So, those were also involved in the guidelines of this whole process. When any site or monument or ensemble gets added into World Heritage Site designation, it has to fulfill one of the 10 criteria mentioned by ICOMOS, and there are total these 10 criteria, out of which first 6 criteria are for the cultural heritage and next 4 criteria are for natural heritage. So, we have natural heritage sites as well in India and at international levels as well. So, for example, Kas Pathar, which is the natural heritage site, Kanchenjunga, which is the combination of cultural and natural heritage sites. So, accordingly, we all can relate any of the built forms and structures, those are considered in under the cultural heritage sites. And Kumbh Mela, which is recently added into World Heritage Site list, is the example of intangible cultural heritage. So, there are different categories to be added into the list, like natural heritage, cultural heritage. In cultural heritage, there are categories of tangible cultural heritage and intangible cultural heritage, etc.
So that's quite an interesting piece of information for us, because the entire nation is taking pride in what we have come to know recently. But we don't know the technical details of how these monuments are listed, and how we come to know that how many categories are there and everything. So now we'll move on to the 12 forts that have been listed recently, and Bharat, you will have to tell us now what is the process of these 12 forts being selected particularly, and what are the important factors that decide that these 12 forts are different from the other forts of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and that is why we are including these in the list.
So, of all the 350 plus Maratha forts in India, 29 forts were shortlisted on the grounds of their history, their significance, their integrity, and their importance to the vicinity around them. Out of these 29 forts, 12 forts were finalized on the grounds of authenticity and integrity for the UNESCO nomination. The cultural values, the emotional values, and the use values were the parameters on which these 12 forts were evaluated. These 12 forts have fulfilled criteria number 4 and criteria number 6, which talk about the built heritage and traditional ensemble. Criteria 6, which talks about traditional events of universal importance.
Now Shivam, please tell us that according to the point of view of architecture, what makes Shivneri stand out to be counted in the list of the UNESCO World Heritage Site?
Yeah, so truly we are connected to these forts of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj emotionally. So these forts have emotional values, cultural values as well as historical values. Talking about the architecture of this fort, Shivneri is categorized under Maratha Military Landscapes. So the word military itself talks about defensiveness of the fort. So the typology or the architectural typology of this fort is defensive architecture typology. Now Fort Shivneri goes under the typology of Giridurga which means hill fort. The fort has various architectural elements such as bastions which means buruj, then fortification walls, then gateways such as Mahadarwaza, Ganesh Darwaza, Pir Darwaza, and various remains of built heritage structures, for example vadas, palaces and other structures. Nowadays we as an architect are practicing rainwater harvesting in our architectural structures. So we are now implementing these techniques, but in the era of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, they were implementing these techniques many years before. So there are many water tanks which we call takas in Marathi on the fort, which have live streams beneath them. Also these water tanks are used as a portable water source, and some of the water tanks are used as a utility water source. So this is very unique and significant feature of this fort. Also the fort is well conserved, and some of the structures we can see Shiv Janmasthan and Ambar Khana, which is a good example of heritage conservation.
Okay, that was interesting. Most of us just keep on visiting the Janmasthan of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, but rainwater harvesting and everything was quite new for us. Now a little technical details that I want to know about this process. So I'll move on back to Professor Shubhashri. So ma'am, please explain to us, how do you conceptualize and document the heritage plan of Shivneri Fort, and as a fort that is going to represent the military landscape of Marathas, what were the challenges in this process?
So our principal Dr. Kavita Murukar was invited to become member of Mahavarsa committee, which was formulated by Divse sir and Wahane sir and these officials, and we were part of that committee, and hence the whole process of this awareness campaign and heritage documentation and all those things that was started. During this procedure, we decided to work on Shivneri because that is one of the beloved place for all of us, being the birthplace of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And using the advanced techniques of documentation, all the 12 forts were already documented by Drona, Dr. Shikha Jain, led by Dr. Shikha Jain. But still we thought of documenting the whole fort by hand, that is the traditional method of documentation. Traditional method of documentation includes taking measurements of each and every part with measuring tape, noting down all the features, photo documentation, and then converting the whole data into hand drafted sheets, into the architectural drawings. So that was quite tedious, but the personal connect with the heritage structure is much more, as I considered personally, in this process, because we are actually touching that structure, we were actually moving on the fort, we were measuring the all the steps, then we measured all the gateways. You won't believe Mena Darwaza had really intricate carving, and we traced all those carving details, and if you will check our sheets and our documentation portfolio, you will get to know all these details on sheet converted into the drawings. Then the Hatti Darwaza, the strategic location and planning. So we always take pride in our forts and the locations and its strength, etc. But when we started documenting, we realized how it is difficult to actually climb up, how it is actually difficult for animal like elephant to break through the gateway, etc. So that was actually challenging and at the same time interesting as well. Our Shivneri heritage documentation activity included 3 different parts. One was heritage documentation. The outcome of that was the whole A1 size portfolio and the sheets. Then we did environmental audit of the Shivneri Fort, which included study of water quality of tanks, then the surroundings, visiting the surroundings and analyzing it with the environmental perspective. Then we also did the accessibility audit of Shivneri Fort. Heritage structures in especially in India, we don't think about the accessibility perspective. The steps, the accessibility, universal accessibility angle is hardly achieved in these structures. So, studying the structure and checking the possibilities of making these forts and the heritage structures universally accessible was one of the perspective of our study. Accessibility audit was led by our principal Dr. Kavita Murukar. Environmental audit was done by students of our masters department, masters in architecture, sustainable architecture, and documentation team is here with us. So report from accessibility audit, environmental audit and the portfolio was presented to World Heritage Committee, WHC we call it as. The meeting by the WHC was held in VVIP guest room along with the Mahavarsa committee members, and we presented our work in that meeting. Dr. Kavita Murukar, myself and few more faculties along with the student team, we attended that meeting, and that was really enriching, encouraging experience, sharing our knowledge with them. Our students gifted sketches of Shivneri done by hand to that delegate, international delegate who was member of that WHC, and that was really nice, great experience.
Wow, that is quite some effort. Now Bharat, representing the entire team, you will have to tell us that how this project has changed your perspective, your personal perspective on Shivneri Fort and broader Maratha history, and are there any moments that you would like to share during your survey, during your work on the fort?
Yes, surely. So when we visited the fort, we first during the documentation process, we sensed it that the Maratha forts or all the forts in together have been used till date or are in majorly used by tourists and treks. There are generally treks organized on these forts, and the trek enthusiasts or the people who are interested in physical activities like treks take generally interest in these kind of adventures or these kind of visits. But now when these forts have come on the world map by the UNESCO nomination, these will be used or these will be visited by the enthusiasts who are interested in research in the built environment or the built history of these places. So the moment of awe that you asked about, Maratha Military Landscapes basically discusses about or talks about the defense mechanism or the military usage or military implementations of various elements in order of defense of the forts. Like we have discussed that there are 7 darwazas or 7 entry gates for the fort. So normally a place has in today's scenario, a place has one entry gate, and the place or the site is then open for the visitor or whoever is coming in. But the presence of 7 gates talks or gives us the instance that these gates act as junction points for the intruder or whoever is coming inside the fort. So if we can take an example of Hatti Darwaza, The design of the Hathi Darwaza is done such that the pathway leading to Hathi Darwaza is in a design of a U-turn with a series of steps which breaks the momentum of the elephant or any intruding force that is required to break through the gate, which is very intricate, and the gate has been designed and placed in a niche after the U-turn, as it cannot be blown by a cannonball.
Interesting. You all are part of a generation that is going to set the future narrative of preserving our heritage. So I want to know from you, Supreet, that how is modern architectural education influencing the way we are preserving our heritage and in the coming days?
So yeah, basically I would like to explain this question through my personal experience. When I was in first year, we had a site visit or a settlement study to a village which was located at the foothills of a fort, and there we learnt how the people staying there preserve the fort, and because of the fort they have their liveliness going on. And further to that, I would like to say that teachers equally relate our past histories of the forts to our current studying of the architectural journey, where they teach us that how sustained the walls are of the forts after getting impacted by so many wars. They are still standing straight as a line. So basically, and we try to implement in our buildings or in our design that even we be able to do the same as they did in the past. And after that, now currently in the modern architectural designs, the urban development of smart city scheme, where there is a important aspect that the cultural preservation needs to be there. So because of those aspects and those things, indirectly somewhere or the other, the modern architectural journey impacts and preserves our forts equally.
Right. So now that the military landscapes of Marathas have been recognized by the UNESCO, you as the future generations and architects, future architects, what changes do you expect to see in these forts, along with Shivneri, of course, on lines of local tourism, conservation policy, and anything else?
Not only local tourism, but we are expecting historical tourism, increasing regenerative tourism, as well as guided heritage walks. So state government of Maharashtra has already taken the initiative of training the locals for guiding these tours or guiding the treks of the forts. We are also expecting the improvement in infrastructure such as clean roads, accessible and eco-friendly restrooms. These initiatives will also improve the employment for the locals as well. Talking about the conservation policies, we should follow international guidelines and Indian traditional methods and technologies or techniques for restoration and conservation. And for public engagement, I would like to say the Maratha Military Landscape should be added in the syllabus of school level and college level students. The architecture of the forts, not like a vast topic, but briefly every student here should know our architectural importance and significance of these forts of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And we can also take many treks, then campings, then workshops, cleanliness workshops. So this can encourage the public engagement and interaction as well.
Absolutely right. You have pointed it out very correctly that these things, elements of forts and how to perceive a fort, all these things should be included in children's education. It is very important because most of the times when even adults visit the forts, they don't even know what they are looking at. So that is a very nice suggestion from your side. And that was it for today's episode of the Bharat Talks podcast. It was really interesting to walk through the shoes of an architect on forts that we have visited so many times. It was new, it was interesting. Thank you so much for giving us this experience, from sharing your experiences. Thank you so much, and keep watching the Bharat Talks podcast for more such episodes. Thank you.